It's been a day since the tragedy at Evan Hardy Collegiate, and the community is still reeling. A vigil was held at the school by classmates on Friday as they collectively grieve. Taya Schmidt is the cousin of the victim and was present at the vigil.
The victim, my cousin, she is in a bad state. Most of her body's burned.
Lexi Sparvier witnessed the assault. Her first week of school, forever tainted by tragedy.
We thought it wasn't real, but it was. And we just paused for 5 seconds, cause when we were in front of her, we paused for 5 seconds, and then I yelled fire, and I just ran out with Sophie, and that's when I called the 911, right?
Families in the area are reacting with shock, asking how something like this could happen.
What happened is terrifying. It's obviously when you send your kids to school, you hope that they're going to be safe, and it's just eye-opening, I guess, to realize that no matter what you do as a parent, your children can encounter circumstances where you're unable to keep them safe. So
the school board provided a statement but did not take questions on the incident.
As part of our efforts to provide space for support and healing, classes were canceled today. The school remained open for students and staff to access counseling services. Classes have also been canceled for Monday, September 9th, so that further counseling supports can continue to be provided for both students and for staff.
The victim was airlifted to the hospital in Edmonton to receive treatment for her burns. A staff member is also being treated for injuries. The accused is in police custody and is being charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, and arson. Her next court date is on the 11th. Noah Rishaug, CTV News, Saskatoon. A labor dispute at WestJet has led to turbulence for travelers heading into this Canada Day long weekend. The airline canceled 25 flights set for Thursday and Friday, impacting 3,300 travelers. But on Thursday afternoon, the federal government forced both parties back to the table, putting job action on hold. But that came too late for Shad Lehman, who had to leave his work trip in Minneapolis early to get back to Saskatoon.
They had rebooked me on a flight 2 days later to come home because of some reason or another. And I managed to get a hold of them last night, and they were able to rebook me to come home a day early, which kind of changed my travel plans and some of my work plans, but better being home early than late.
Or Gordon Lai, who's catching one of today's last flights to Vancouver before tomorrow's flight cancellation.
Well, obviously, if today's flight was canceled, that'd be pretty devastating because I live in Vancouver. So not being able to get home for the long weekend would be pretty devastating.
A similar situation happened in the previous week where flights were canceled in preparation of job action that didn't come. While it's now in a binding arbitration situation, travelers are still urged to check the status of their flights.
Try and download that WestJet app, sign up for those email notifications, follow them on social media. Try and get your information through a digital source when things are really, really busy, as opposed to phoning in. And of course, we're going to keep everybody updated here on our social channels and things if we start really seeing serious cancellations or disruptions.
Going into the long weekend, the union says that it will comply and direct its members to refrain from unlawful job action. WestJet confirms labor action has been avoided and no additional flights will be canceled. Noah Rishaug, CTV News, Saskatoon. Saskatchewan is entering election season. People will soon go to the polls to vote for the future of the province. But behind the scenes, the men and women who work the election form the backbone of our democracy. Today, election clerks from dozens of ridings across the province are training for the big week and learning how to manage a polling office.
And the voters select our leaders, and so it's very important that we go through this process, we do it well, and that we're prepared, and that we follow our values.
Their values are trained into the new employees for them to pass down to their poll workers on election day.
All of our workers are focused on serving them and helping them to get through the voting process, and then we're dedicated to the work that we do in democracy.
Elections are integral to the function of democracy. In this election, will take thousands and thousands of people to make work. Now, Elections Saskatchewan stresses the need to have workers over the election season, especially in rural areas.
We'll need about 2,800 workers in that area, in those areas, if you're interested in joining our team, we'd love that, and we'd ask you to go to elections.sk.ca.
Rose Lequay works in a rural riding. Her jurisdiction goes as far out as the town of Hudson Bay, and when there's a lack of volunteers, she feels the pressure.
For Tisdale, they could get to Hudson Bay in an hour and 20 minutes. They can get to Muskegum. They can get to different areas. That is our biggest challenge, and our biggest worry is that poll has to open.
Election Saskatchewan has been preparing for this for years, and after this election, they'll already be preparing for the next one. Noah Rishaug, CTV News, Saskatoon. The Saskatoon Hilltops are back, with the team taking to SMF Field to host the Edmonton Huskies in their team's home opener as they start their season as defending champions. After a slow start, the Hilltops gained momentum going into the second half.
Got to tighten up in all areas. We got to block better, got to tackle better. We got to execute better. We basically gave them 13 points because of offense and special teams, not because of defense. Our defense is already at the level they were last year, so that gets the old coach excited. But we got to get that special teams and offense to another level, and hey, we're going to do that.
Hilltops quarterback Trey Reeder ran 2 touchdowns, one of which over 30 yards, giving the Hilltops wiggle room. He credits his play to his team.
Yeah, but it's all my O-line. Everyone was blocking for me. Corbin Evan at the end hit some guy so I could get in. It wasn't me. Whenever someone runs one in, it's the 12-man team, right? So it's all on them.
Going into the last quarter, the Hilltops found themselves in a dominant position, 20 points over the Huskies. A halftime speech the Hilltops were given seemed to have shifted the tides.
The message was just do your job, know what you're supposed to do, and execute. If we have 12 guys in the field executing at a time, then football is going to be a pretty fun sport to play.
The game, a first for many of the team's new rookies, who seem to be getting along well with the rest of the team.
Well, I hope they're enjoying the Hilltops there. I hope they're enjoying it. But I personally really like everybody that comes in the organization. They don't look just for how good you are, but they look for what kind of person you are. And
coach and players are still saying that there is a lot to work on. However, the Hilltops came out on top with 38-13 against the Huskies for a strong season opener. Noah Rishaug, CTV News, Saskatoon. In Dundurn, Saskatchewan, Canada Day took an extraordinary turn as event planners aimed to surpass the world record for the largest gathering of individuals wearing inflatable dinosaur costumes. People from all walks of life participated.
I'm Tommy, and I'm a student right now.
My name is Shai. I work in a brewery.
Name's Brian. I'm a truck driver.
As well as people from all over the world.
Gary Matthews, and I'm from Wales in the UK.
I'm from Whitehorse, Yukon Territories.
The organizers expressed their hopes at breaking the previous record of 380. The event's unique nature raises questions about how the organizers at Big Mur's Tavern thought this up. They bluntly explain.
Well, it starts with it being a tavern, and something happened during one of those beverage meetings that we came up with this idea to try and break the world record for the most people in inflatable dinosaurs.
One of the more bizarre things about today is that the population of Dundurn is 647, but according to event organizers, they're expecting at least 1,100 T-Rexes to show up, meaning that there are going to be more T-Rexes than people in the town of Dundurn today. The event even drew in a film crew, creating a mockumentary on the Airbagosaurus Dundurnum's migration patterns called Fossil Record.
And it piqued my interest because, they're hilarious, right? So I actually didn't know these people, and I asked them, I'm like, what are you talking about? And they said, well, there's this thing happening in Dundurn. So I immediately looked it up, of course, and I found out that it was a world record-breaking attempt, and I thought, how fun is that? I wanted to be part of it.
The record was shattered, with the official count standing at 1,187 costume dinosaurs. If their T-Rex arms were long enough, they would almost certainly be clapping. Noah Rishaug, CTV News, Saskatoon. In the dense mountain forests of the Fraser-Nicola, some believe that there is more than meets the eye. Bigfoot has existed in the popular folklore of the region for over half a century. Although the existence of Bigfoot is something that cannot be proven, attendees of the very first Nicola Valley Bigfoot Conference would try to convince you otherwise. They've gone on fact-finding missions around the province where they've attempted to find evidence of the famous North American cryptid to bring it back and put it on display at the conference. At the Chalou Center outside of Merritt, Bigfoot enthusiasts gathered in numbers, all bringing their various commodities, theories, evidence, and stories to the table.
Well, basically, again, and the story behind this set of casts was these hunters were out looking. They were driving along. They saw this dried out puddle, and they were looking for elk tracks. That's what they were looking for, and they came across these 5 Sasquatch tracks in the mud.
Both skeptics and full-fledged believers alike attended.
Well, yeah, I believe in the evidence that is out there. I am a researcher. I am a research associate at the Institute for the Ocean and Fisheries at University of British Columbia.
I'm more on the skeptical side, but I like just hearing people's experiences and just learning about Bigfoot and the phenomenon and things like that.
I've had encounters with vocalizations that have woken me up out of a dead sleep. I had a sighting when I was a child.
The conference is the first of its kind here in BC, hosted by Sheldon Kiwesence, a prominent voice in the cryptid hunting community.
The conference itself has been a lot of work, and I'm very, very overwhelmed on the response that I got. I mean, this sold out 2 weeks ago, and I actually put in 15 more tickets for sale last night, and they sold within an hour. So, the response to the conference has been very overwhelming. I'm very, very humbled by it. I just was not expecting this to be where it's at right now.
Bigfoot himself was present, but refused to comment. CFJC was able to debunk the notion that it is impossible to get a clear shot of him, although some attendees have far more harrowing stories from allegedly encountering the beast.
Saw one with a night vision device from about 100 yards. Same expedition, we saw one at night without a night vision device. It was crossing up on a ridge line off of a logged off area. And then in 2007, when we were prepping for the expedition in 2007, myself and Cindy Dozen saw one from about, 200 yards.
The event sold out quickly and was regarded as a huge success. Organizers hope to make this an annual occurrence. Noah Rishaug, CFJC News.